Hey, recently I've been facing some issues, which is why I'm even here. I'll keep it as short as possible, but I'll give you a detailed backstory because I don't want to leave anything out. I'm 35, I'm female. My husband, we've been together for 10 years and married for 5. We live together in the house that I bought just before we met. It's a very small house with a small amount of land. We both used to work full-time, but I made about 4 times as much as he does, so I chose a very challenging job as a lawyer and also worked in a property development section. He found a flexible and comfortable job for him as a lab mechanic for a small company. Even though the work was flexible, it was not meant for him. So, a few years ago, when they tried to put pressure on him, he suffered from a burnout and resigned. He's an artist by passion, and as I was earning well enough for the family, I encouraged him to focus on his passion. You see, when I met him, I had just gotten out of an abusive relationship, and I was what they would call scared and clueless. Well, he helped me out. He did, a lot during that time, and even with his small income, he supported me. To be honest, I had the influence to work hard to give him a better life. And, well, I always wanted him to follow his dreams, but he could not then because he had a single mother and a sister to take care of, and I was just happy to finally see him pursuing his dreams. And I was proud of myself that I could make him stress-free. His mother and sister were not happy with it, though. First of all, my mother-in-law has never been married, even though she has 2 children by 2 different men. She didn't want my husband to get married to me, as she claimed that I was emotionally dependent on him and that she would have to share his son's money with me. My husband was afraid to tell his mother that we were engaged, and when she finally found out, she tells me that her son was making a big mistake by getting married to me. And if we got married, she would sit in the back of the church on the day of our wedding. It was a huge mess, and she only shut up when I found a job and gifted her a designer bag with my first salary hit. In the beginning. When Ed still had his job, she used to ask for money from him, and I was the one in charge of expensive gifts and their small demands like a vacation and all, but they didn't ask me for any money. Probably because they didn't see me as part of the family. Ugh. Ed was vocal about his burnout and wanted to leave his job, so we thought that she would be happy when we told him the news that he resigned. Her concern, on the other hand, was how she would get money from now on. I thought she would be happy for her son and would encourage him to pursue his dreams just like I did. But both his mother and sister were upset by it. Their main concern was how she would get money from now on, and mother-in-law and sister-in-law both accused me of ruining their lives financially. They told me that I encouraged him for his useless passion. I could not take that negativity, as they were saying shamelessly things that he was not a man of the family. I told them I would take care of their financial needs and pleaded with them not to discourage him. Ed was feeling down by their words. He was feeling worthless and also expressed that he thinks he's a burden to me. I assured him no, he's not, don't mind them. But it was hard for him to ignore the matter. One time, we went out with some of our friends for a group dinner date. Ed had already been pursuing his artistic passion for, a year now? And unfortunately, there was, absolutely no success. One of his friends pointed it out and commented, "Thank God I was the man of the family, or else he would have ended up in the streets like thousands of other artists." He stayed silent when I tried to defend him by saying how hard he's working on it, and that soon he will open up a gallery, and then they'll be asking for his autograph. Well, it was true. He was planning to open a gallery co-partnering with his friend, but they laughed at it, saying that we're living a delusion. Then again, then it was time to pay for the meals, and everybody's boyfriend or husband was taking care of it, but in our case, I took the bill and paid. We could see how they were talking about us underneath their breath. Ugh, Ed was depressed for days about it and totally caved it to our house. It took him months and lots of positivity for him to get out of the situation. Well, he continued his work and I did the same. One thing I like about Ed is that he never wants to think that men and women are born just with different assigned tasks. As I was considered the breadwinner of the family, he was the homemaker. He took care of household work whenever he had the time to do that. I was okay with taking care of ours and his mom's house as well. But one thing that I have to admit is that for the last few years I've been taking care of my mother-in-law and sister-in-law financially, and they're not easy people to handle. She always had money problems because she lacked financial literacy. They are more demanding towards me, and I don't know why, probably taking their rage out for influencing her son to live his life. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law both took me for granted. Their demands were sky-high. For example, sister-in-law would ask me to arrange her birthday dinner in the poshest of restaurants, and she would invite more people than she claimed she would have. Designer jewelry, bags, and clothing were normal demands from them in that household. I could not say anything to them because they would take the anger out on Ed. My sister-in-law and mother-in-law are not only minded, but also mean as well. I'm sure both of them were bullies at their school. I'm sure of it. We were having dinner one day at my mother-in-law's house, and suddenly, out of nowhere, she told me I have a mustache and I should consider shaving. She mocked me, saying I was having competition with my husband in terms of growing facial hair. To be honest, I'm not the one of those people who gets insecure over their looks. I know, I'm not the prettiest person in the world, and I made peace with the fact that her trying to show I'm lower than her for having a mustache is just ridiculous and annoying. My husband said it was just because she felt comfortable with me and was trying to put her point out. And he advised me to just ignore her, and he later shut her up too. I don't know how she said those things to me because I would never say that to someone. She asked me once if I was pregnant because I had gained weight. She said her dog also had a pooch when she was pregnant, and in reality, I'm not too fat. I'm a healthy weight. There have also been other comments. I just don't know if they were on purpose or not, you see. I do have ADHD. And one time I forgot hiking sticks at home for a hike, and she said, that would be the day, with blank, without forgetting something, I know she knows that I have ADHD, and my husband told her not to mention anything related to it, and I don't know, I feel very self-conscious when someone thinks that I'm not good enough for having ADHD. When I wasn't speaking as much after, she sarcastically said, I've hurt her feelings. And I then repeated multiple times how much we're alike and tried to lighten the mood by saying how we're both very direct and so we can say anything to each other, which would be farther from the truth for me as I'm quite shy and soft-spoken and I hate confrontation. She often takes phone calls while we're spending time together, like we'll be on a walk or a shopping trip that she had invited, and I'll have to sit on a park bench in a mall awkwardly while she talks on the phone for like 15 minutes about something random like a color of nail polish. Sister-in-law tries to guilt people into doing things frequently, which really annoys me, especially when it's me who she's trying to guilt trip, and I don't know, here are a few examples. Sister-in-law invited me to dinner once, but I said I already invited some friends over to our apartment for a movie night. She responded by stating that it was necessary for her to have dinner that night and said, I guess we'll see who you want more when you decide what to do. I answered that there's no preference, I just told her I was not choosing anyone, but as she said it was, important, I would go. But when I went there, I just found out she was asking for money for a bracelet that her friend was wearing recently for her birthday. I gave her a piece of my mind and called her selfish for ruining my movie night with my friends. That's when she started crying and calling me a meanie, and my mother-in-law came and started scolding her son for not having a job and giving it money. She would make everything about money and nothing else. My mother passed away less than a year ago, and I've been having a very hard time dealing with the situation as we were really close. I'd been staying at home a lot more than I used to, including not visiting sister-in-law as often, and apparently, one day she called my husband to ask why I don't like her anymore and don't want to spend time with her. Geez, I wonder why. Ever since then, whenever we meet up, she, quote, always jokes about me being missing. I just wanted a normal relationship with them. They want to carry the expenses that their son used to do for them, and, but why they don't accept me as a family member even after all those years is still beyond my comprehension. I had given up hope. No matter what I do, they will never accept me as their daughter-in-law and sister-in-law. The issue is that recently I found out I'm pregnant with twins. The current house that we have will be too small for the kids. I've asked Ed if we could consider buying a new house and selling this one, and he's on board with it. I even have a house on my wish list. It's 3 bedrooms, 1 guest room, and a studio. It'll be a perfect place to raise children, and Ed can use the studio for work. So I've started saving money from my salary for this exact purpose. So we thought mother-in-law would be happy to hear the news. Well, maybe she'll even accept me when I give her 2 grandchildren. So with hope, we invited them and shared the news, and they seemed happy and congratulated us. But at the same time, mother-in-law gets worried that as I'm pregnant, how am I going to earn money? I assured them that I would be working from home and that we would manage. We were in the middle of dinner, and they were asking me questions related to my pregnancy, and I spieled that I was saving up some money for a big house for 2 kids. I thought they should know, as they're part of the family as well, and they looked paranoid about the idea, and they did not say anything, but they made it clear that we were unwelcome that day after giving the news about the new house. Now they called me a few days after and invited me for dinner, and said that they had something important to discuss. I know for sure that they're up to no good, as they never are. Should I go, or should I decline it? Update number 1. You can never guess why they invited me for dinner. By the way, I'm updating it too soon, as it's only been a week since the first post. It was necessary because what happened at the dinner is bothering me, and I don't know if what I did was right or wrong. You guys will be the best judge for that, which is why I'm here. But before I start with the real update, I think I should answer the question that I got in the comments so that I don't forget it in the end. The most frequent question was why my sister-in-law is not working, as she's 29 years of age. Well, honestly, I don't have a logical answer for you. But I can tell you what I was told by my husband. He said that she was the golden child of mommy, and she was always treated like a special child who needed to be careful for the 24/7. When she was in her 20s, Ed once suggested she does a job and help him out, as he was struggling. His mother gets angry at that, and didn't talk to him for a week. He apologized and apologized and apologized, and after a few days she talked. He had never raised the issue again, and if you ask me, judging by her bullying nature, I would say she does not have the education required for a job. However, I'm jumping to the update now. First of all, thank you for the suggestions and advice, and after discussing the matter with Ed, we decided to go there, and we also kept in mind that if they demanded something outrageous, we would try to make them understand the situation. When we went there on the weekend, there was a whole different picture. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law answered the door and let us in with a smile, which was odd. When we entered the living room, there was a guy sitting there, and he introduced himself as my sister's fiancé. The feelings were confusing with the new information. I mean, on one side, the guy looked weird and way older than my sister. He had gray sideburns, for goodness sake. On the other hand, probably for the first time, we felt like a part of a family, as they invited us to meet their future family members. Disclaimer, that's what we thought. But it was clear when she said that at dinner table that the reason they invited us was because they wanted me to bear the expenses of the wedding. I know I was pregnant and in a very fragile situation, but I knew this thing would happen, and I was ready for it, so I agreed, and also told them to officiate the wedding next year after my child's birth so that I could help them properly. They were considerate of it, which I loved, but little did I know that they were being all goody-goody only to drop the next bomb. After dinner, when we were chilling and having a conversation with the new couple, my mother-in-law suddenly demanded that I buy her daughter a house as a wedding gift. A house? Just wow! I was shaken to my core. I can't even imagine how selfish a person has to be to act like that. I told them I was already paying for the wedding. How could I afford a whole house? They looked frantic and screamed at me, saying, "How come I have money for someone who's not even born yet and not for her precious child?" She also made it crystal clear that paying for the marriage was my duty, as I was the one who influenced her son to do something so useless. I still firmly refused, and we just left right away. I don't understand why they're being so heartless to me and my husband. If she's getting married, why the hell does she need a house from little old me? Isn't it her husband's job? And why the hell was the fiancé silently watching all this? She's probably found someone just like her. Whatever. I'm beyond angry now. It's been a couple of days since the incident dropped, and we have not heard from them yet. I don't know what they're up to. I've also been contemplating with myself. If I were her son, would I react that way? Please tell me I did not do anything wrong. At least I don't feel like it, but I need opinions from you guys. Update number 2. I knew the silence after the argument about my sister buying a house was too loud to be true, and I was right. Hello again, I'm back with an update after a few weeks. I was suffering from hypertension because of my mother-in-law and sister-in-law's behavior, and I was in the hospital for a week, and after the argument it was silent from my side, but they were constantly tormenting my father and some relatives that they knew. Well, I have not introduced my father before to you guys, sorry about that, but my concerns were not related to him, so I didn't need to. My father is in his 70s, and they had me when they were nearing middle age. Both my parents were extremely naive, and before my mother passed away, the couple used to run a small NGO, focusing on better life for homeless people. They were the power couple in my eyes, and when I got into an abusive relationship before Ed, I hid it from them as they were old, and it would have killed them to see their child getting beaten to the bones. I just said my previous boyfriend left without telling me, and they let it slide. They thought that I was telling the truth when my mother passed away. My father became vulnerable, and he willingly moved to his farmland and lived there. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law knew that, and they tormented the heck out of him. They made fake scenarios like I was cheating on her son and sending my boyfriend money. They said that I've been mean to both of them and tried to make them homeless. They even sent my future brother-in-law to threaten them. My father endured everything because he was shocked, and it was hard for him to believe. I only got to know what was happening behind my back when my aunt went to visit my father. And fortunately, all 3 of them, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and brother-in-law, went at the same time to threaten him. She confronted them, forced them to get out of the place, and threatened them to call the cops if they didn't go. Well, they left, and my aunt informed us what was happening. We rushed to my father's house and told him everything, and he calmed down after that. The next day, we went to my mother-in-law's house to confront them. They denied all the fake rumors by saying they said those words only because that was a possibility. We threatened her that if my father faced anything like that ever again, we would not hesitate to put them in jail. It's been a few days since the incident happened, and since then, I've been receiving anonymous text. Someone's pretending to be our real estate agent and asking for the location of the home, saying that he had lost his phone and got a new one, and the address was in his old phone's notepad. It sounds sketchy, and I don't know if I believed it or not. They work for the company, right? So the information about the address should be there, so why are they asking me? And how do they even remember my number? What do you guys think? Update number 3. Hey, it's me. I'm here for an update. It's actually been a few months. We finally moved into our new house, and the moving process went really smoothly. But without our knowledge, the brother-in-law followed the mover's truck to absolutely find our location, and I know something bad happened, right? It did. After we finished unpacking everything, we thought we needed a vacation, and we went to my father's house for just a few weeks. I was working from home, and Ed needed a new operation for his art, and my father's place would be great for it. Well, we thought. But during that time, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law broke into our new house and squatted for weeks. We came home after 3 weeks only to find a large shipping van parked in our driveway. So we got curious and thought that we had seen that van before but did not remember it. And, well, we were about to call the police, but at that moment my new neighbor came and informed us that my mother-in-law was living there. At that moment we felt such a sense of dread. That we had no idea what was going on inside our home. But we collected ourselves and rang the bell. They had the nerve to greet us like nothing happened, and they somehow illegally broke into our house and started living there. They were acting like it was us who were the guest of the home, and my sister-in-law had already taken the master bedroom and watched TV when we got there. She ignored us and continued watching like they didn't do anything. We were too shocked to speak, and after a moment, my husband opened his mouth. He screamed at them and ordered them to get out, but they refused to do so, saying that they had every single right to live there as it was bought under her son's name. I told them they're dead wrong, and it was bought under my name as we had a hunch that they would try to mess us up. We argued, and they refused to leave. Well, my mother-in-law screamed again and said as long as she's involved with me, they have every right to live there. We went inside one of the empty bedrooms, locked the doors from inside, and called the police. But guess what? They weren't even able to help us, as they said they were relaxed and related, and it was just a family feud. It's civil. The cop, instead of forcing them, advised them to fix the matter and told them to leave peacefully. I wanted to prove to the cop that they were trespassing when they were not supposed to be here, but I had no camera. And unfortunately, my neighbors don't have cameras either. It was just our word against theirs. The police concluded that it was a family dispute and filed an eviction notice with the courts to get them out. It was during COVID and everything took so long. They were living there for a few days and rubbing it in our faces, and when they had to leave, they actually threatened us that they would come again. Update number 4. Wow, so this will be my last update, I guess. But there are many things I have to say to you guys I'm overly excited about. You know, guys, what we found out? My brother-in-law is a wanted criminal. Yeah, shocking, right? 5 years ago, he drunkenly drove and started driving his car on a footpath, injuring a few passerbyers, and he was also here when we came and found out that they were living in our home. But he ran away when he heard the police sirens, and, well, we already gave his info along with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law to get a restraining order, and they connected the dots and started investigating right away. He got caught just after a few days. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law were so mad. They stormed into our house and screamed at us. Apparently, my sister is pregnant and her fiancé is in jail now, and it all happened because of us. My mother-in-law forcefully tried to get in and told us to take one room and to leave the others for them. We were confused by the situation because my mother-in-law has a house, so why is she wandering around? Then we found out that the fiancé illegally sold the house, and now they have no place to go. Well, none of these were our fault, so they're not welcome here, and Ed was also taking my side. We told them to leave the house or we would call the cops, and my mother-in-law said that happened before and that we were not totally successful at that, and she said that she still has the right to live here. We show her the restraining order, and she looked at us like she saw a spirit. She tried to jump on me and take the papers out of my hand. Well, my husband rushed towards me to shield me, and I was heavily pregnant. You know, when she failed to take the paper, she slapped me, and my husband had to stop her. And we called the police again. This time we had installed a camera, and it captured everything, especially the heavy one to prevent women from getting slapped. The police took them to jail, and now all of them are in jail, and, you know, in their deserving place, I would say. I don't really know what your opinion will be regarding this, but what else could we have done? As I'm having twins, I needed to be extra careful. Thankfully, all the hackles did not hurt the baby. We probably settled into our house, and Ed's gallery will be open next month, and we're looking very much forward to it.